Well, welcome back to my Thoughtful Thursdays video channel where we talk about important topics both inside and outside the church. I'm inside a church right now. I am inside First Baptist Church here in Peoria, and I am so excited to be here with Rob Collins, who is the Reverend here at this church. They call you Reverend Rob, right?
They just call me Rob, or Pastor Rob.
Pastor Rob, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking someone in the church office called you Reverend Rob.
They might have.
And it's got that kind of je ne sais quoi about it.
Yeah. I prefer the Reverend Dr. Rob Collins, but, nobody will use that title.
Yeah, you do. I mean, we call him Reverend Dr. King. We might as well call you Reverend Dr. Collins.
Don't put me on that. Let's not go there.
No, okay, I won't go there then. Tell me just a little bit about yourself and how did you get to Peoria? How long have you been here? What's your background?
Sure. So I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, so I'm from there. I made my way kind of around the country a bit. I went to school at Howard Payne University, got my bachelor's in biblical studies and biblical languages there. Then I went to North Carolina to go to Gardner-Webb University, where I got my Master's of Divinity in Biblical Studies again, and made my way to Alabama, where I was at for 10 years as the associate pastor of a cooperative Baptist church there. And that's where I met my wife, and we had our kids and stuff. And then I did my doctorate while I was there, did my doctorate in Atlanta, and did that in the realm of preaching. And then we made our way to Peoria. So I've been here for a little less than 3 years. Okay. October will be 3 years, so about 2.5 years.
Wow, congratulations. And all that, your tenure here is during COVID, too.
A lot of it has been.
A good year and a portion of it.
Yeah, a lot of it has been.
And it sounds like you have studied biblical languages, too, which is exciting. So you probably are going to be an expert in anything we would talk about.
No, not really. But yeah, I did study it quite a bit. I started out my ministry thinking that I would be more of a professor. That world is very competitive.
Absolutely.
And I just felt called into local church ministry. I didn't think I would be, but I was. And so I ended up shifting paths.
I love languages is my thing. So, I mean, I did Hebrew at the University of Illinois. Mm-hmm. Now, when I did Hebrew there, of course, all my evangelical counterparts, that was heretical Hebrew. So, because I learned about stuff I wasn't supposed to learn about. You know how that is. You know how that is.
Right.
Like source hypothesis? What is this?
Yeah. And I was really bad at Hebrew, though Hebrew is a very hard language. I was pretty good at Greek, and so I still use that a lot. But honestly, there's so many tools now that have really become available. You can get in a lot of trouble using languages.
Thank you so much again. Sure. So we are in this series on my YouTube talking about the open and affirming churches. Mm-hmm. And I know that you are part of this affirming pastors community that we're both part of. And I've also heard that your church is open and affirming. Mm-hmm. What did that look like for your church to become that? And I just hear that you are this hilarious, amazing, awesome, eccentric, exuberant person. And so I just, no pressure, obviously. Yeah. But how did your church get to be at that open and affirming stance?
I think for this church, a lot of it was a journey for them. So unlike a lot of Baptist churches, this wasn't some huge vote that took place or something. Okay. There are some pretty well-known affirming Baptist churches around the country, but most of them went through very difficult seasons of voting and conversations. This congregation, I think, because I wasn't here for a lot of it, but my understanding on the history really went through some shifts over the years. And they have a history of being a bit more progressive than other Baptist counterparts. Yeah. Whenever it came time for them to hire me, or really the search committee made the decision that they were looking for an open and affirming pastor that could help them navigate kind of the future of church ministry. And so I got here, and I kind of expected that there was some big vote, but there really wasn't. And so I just asked leadership, I said, hey, we have a chance to join this affirming organization of churches in the area. And they said, go for it. That's what we hired you for. We have openly gay members that are married and are a part of our congregation, and they're just all beloved here.
And we've talked about this in other of my videos, that sometimes in churches there's this idea of a stained glass ceiling where you can be welcoming, but then you end up bumping into a ceiling at some point. And so you would never bump into a stained glass ceiling here.
I don't think so, but there's some things that haven't happened. We've never had someone that was gay or part of the LGBTQ community preach. That hasn't happened yet. Yep. But I expect that it will. So there are things that haven't happened. The church has never done a same-sex wedding, but there's nothing in our rules against it. I'm allowed to do it. It's in my contract that I'm allowed to do it. It just hasn't happened yet. So at First Baptist, you can lead worship, you can sing, you can be a part of all the organizations, you can teach.
That's amazing.
Male, female, white, black, gay, straight.
Cool. Well, there you have it. For those of you that are my same-sex friends that are not married yet, you could do your first one.
You
right
can.
here.
If you want to get married in a sanctuary.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't anymore.
It's true.
Yeah, so I don't do a ton of weddings because a lot of people want to get married in barns and stuff.
Oh, yeah. That what do they call it? Shabby chic?
Sure, yeah.
I think that's a word.
Yeah.
If you want to get married, it is beautiful. I'm looking at a stained glass, a window pane right now, and it's beautiful. You would love it here. Come check it out. I want to talk, again, we're sitting in a Baptist church.
Sure.
So I think this shows a little bit of my misassumptions about the Baptist church. Maybe I just didn't know, coming out of evangelicalism, everything about the Baptist church possible. I thought that Baptists were like super conservative all the time. Like in my mind, I think of like the movie Footloose, and I'm like, he's definitely a Baptist. I don't know that. But in my mind, he was a Baptist. Yeah. You know the old adage, like, why are Baptists against premarital sex, right?
Right.
Because it might lead to dancing.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you can't be leading to dancing. So help me understand where our assumptions have gone wrong about Baptists.
Well, I think where the assumptions have gone wrong is categorizing all Baptists in one group. Though your assumptions are not far off.
Okay.
A lot of Baptist,
I knew the dancing.
Yeah, a lot of Baptist churches are very conservative. Okay. And part of that's cultural, part of that's religious, part of that's the fact that they're all rooted in the South. Well, not all Baptist churches, but a lot of the more conservative ones are. And the largest Baptist denomination, the Southern Baptist Convention, is very conservative. That's what I grew up in because I grew up in Texas, and it would have been hard to be Baptist and not be Southern Baptist. Yeah. Your assumptions aren't that far off. You just didn't know that there was a minority of Baptist churches that are much more affirming. Yeah. So there is an association of welcoming and affirming Baptist churches that exist. They show up at conventions and stuff like that, trying to get churches like ours to be a part of their group. A lot of the big churches that have been around for a long time tend to be more progressive. Okay. It's not always on LGBTQ matters, but in the world of Baptists, usually a First Baptist church has been around longer. They have accumulated more wealth, and because of that, they hired more educated pastors. Yeah. And it's not, not assuming that everyone's the same, but on average, the more educated a pastor is, they tend to be a bit more progressive. Yeah. And that it's just true. Yeah. And so that's why a lot of First Baptist churches tend to be more progressive or moderate than the other churches around. The difference is, in the Southern Baptist world, you can't be affirming. They will kick you out of the denomination. In the American Baptist world, you can be affirming. Yeah.
You have that autonomy as a church to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you clearing that up for me. So there you go.
Hopefully that wasn't too much of a denominational lesson there.
No, I want people to know about the denomination. So
sure.
My wife's grandpa was an American Baptist pastor for a long time, and I know very traditional on this stance. And I love him. He's amazing. I don't know that he watches these, but I love him. He's a great, wonderful man, but definitely conservative on this.
Sure, absolutely, and a lot of my friends are. I mean, I went to school in Texas and was part of Cooperative Baptist for a long time, and I have a lot of friends that are very conservative that we would disagree wholeheartedly on quite a bit of theological issues. Yeah. Love them. They're wrong, but I love them. Love them.
That's right. You've only been here for just under 3 years now. Now, how do you walk that balanced tightrope between, if you have people here in your community, this is not one of your questions, if you have people here in your community that are maybe a little bit more conservative, more on the traditional, like, how do you protect the people who are here, who are open and are in a couple, from potential side eyes, stink eye from other people? How do you protect that?
I think that for the most part, our congregation is just so welcoming of them. Like I would say people that have strong opinions on that are really in the minority here. If that's happening, the only way that you can protect from anything like that is having strong relationships and communication. Yeah. You could create all the rules you wanted or put in policies and stuff, but really it's about having a relationship with the members of our church that are same-sex couples or in the LGBTQ world. Like, you just have to be close to them and have an open dialogue with them so that they feel comfortable to say, hey, this happened or this happened, that kind of thing. And I hope that I have that. I feel like I have that. I'm very thankful for that. It sounds super easy because in my other contexts where I've served, it wasn't like that. It was a big deal, and it did blow up, and it was, in Alabama, it was a big problem for a lot of people. This church is just more progressive. They just are. And so they just give me a lot more leeway.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that. I don't want that to be a headache for you, obviously. So
right. But it is a bit of a cheat because I don't have an easy answer for you
Yep.
because it hasn't been a headache.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come back and interview when you have...
Yeah, I was going to say.
when there's a schism.
A few more years. And part of that may be that I'm new.
Yeah.
You know, they searched for a pastor for 3 years. It took them a long time to get someone that wanted to move to Peoria and to get someone that was progressive. Some of that could have been the honeymoon phase where, you give me another year or so, we'll see.
You could turn some tables. Let me ask you this then about your local congregation. Maybe toot your own horn here a little bit. Like, what do you guys do really well? It sounds like you're a very welcoming community. People are loving here. You've used the word progressive. Like, what is something that really sets your community and congregation kind of apart from other churches?
What I really like about what we do here is there's a couple things. One, I would say I really enjoy our worship. They described it to me as traditional whenever I was interviewing, but it's not at all. I would call it eclectic.
Yeah.
There are some Sundays where we're singing hymns and we've got the organ playing and that kind of thing, but there are other Sundays where we're singing about the devil went down to Georgia and we've got 6 guitars on stage. It really is an inclusive type of worship service. We have seasons that are more liturgical, some seasons that are a lot less, some seasons that sound evangelical that we're not, but they kind of sound that way. And so I really enjoy the diversity that comes. We try to include a lot of our younger members, we try to include our older members, that kind of thing. We have some really talented musicians that are on staff here. So I love all of that. Aside from that, it really is a place where you don't have to check your brain at the door. You can come here and think. You can come here and doubt. You can come here broken. One of my favorite things about the way we do worship is at least we strive to make it very authentic.
Yeah.
I actually, personally, really enjoy kind of the more energetic worship services and kind of the Hillsong type model, maybe not theology, but that model.
Yeah.
A fault in that world is that you always have to be happy. And what I love about our services is there really is room for you to come as you are. You can be happy, you can be broken, you can be sad, you can be the whole spectrum of feelings, and there's probably going to be something in the service that's there for you. Yeah. I'm really proud of that. Well, if you go to church and everyone's just singing songs about how great life is, sometimes life isn't great. Yeah. Sometimes it's really hard, and that was a big thing for me in the South as I started going, wait a second, I'm having a bad day today, so I don't want to raise my hands and smile and sing about that. I'd like to sing something else. Yep. And I think creating that space is really important. If you are interested in a church that has some Baptist roots but isn't very Baptist, this would be a good place for you. It does have the history. It's a very proud church that's a part of the American Baptist denomination. Even the sanctuary, I mean, this is the least Baptist sanctuary you'll ever be in. I like to say that we have all the things that are great about the Baptist church. Yeah. The autonomy of the church, the freedom in the pulpit, the freedom of each believer to interpret Scripture based on what they experience with God, all of that stuff. And then we let a lot of the other stuff go. Kind
of like Baptist light. It's all the same great taste, less shame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't do shame here. That doesn't fly here.
You're breaking all my stereotypes.
No, it does not fly here. We rarely even do altar calls here. Wow. When people join, sometimes they come down, but we actually shifted that, especially in COVID. We kind of shifted from it. And so we do now what we call responsive worship. So instead of having an altar call at the end of the service, we sing together something that is in response to the message that we've heard. Yeah. Occasionally, there's an altar call feel to that, but unlike most Baptist churches, we don't do that every week. Yeah. We have to explain that to guest speakers and that kind of thing. Yeah. So
I don't understand. You're blowing all my brains. Like, how do you manipulate, control people? Like, if you don't make them feel bad about themselves,
it's very difficult. I have a hard time getting them to get baptized for the 3rd or 4th time. It's really difficult to get them to come and recommit their life every week.
Well, my next question is kind of a nice little. I'll lob a softball at you.
Sure.
What is just something that nobody here maybe knows about you? Something that's completely random and fun.
I almost went into coaching basketball instead of ministry.
Really?
I was really, really close. Okay. And so leaving college, I had the opportunity to be the assistant coach. Chris Kilsmeyer was the head coach there. took me out to eat after the season was over and offered me the job. He said, Rob, I know that you want to be a preacher or something. He's not super religious, and, which is what I was in school for. Yep. He's like, but I think you'd be a really good coach, and I'd love for you to stay. And it was a tough decision. So I don't know where my life would have went had I gone coaching, but I was really close because I viewed them almost as the same thing.
Yeah. You would have gotten paid more doing the other one.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll cut that.
No, you don't have to. Coaching doesn't pay that great either.
I mean, assume you did.
You're a head coach, maybe.
Oh, okay.
There's paths where you can make a lot more money in ministry, paths where you can make a lot more money in coaching.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of paths where you don't make any at all.
Yeah. Those are the fun ones.
Yeah.
No, if there are people that are watching this that maybe will want to come visit with you guys, how would they come find you? I have to tell you, it is not in front of the Lakeview pool, just so you know. Go the other way down Lake.
Yeah.
How would they find you? What times are your services?
Sure. So we have worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, and we're usually done by 10:50, 10:55, so it's not a real long service. You can dress however you want. There are some people in suits, but I would say a lot of people don't wear suits. Most of our ushers will wear suits. The deacons that are serving will wear suits, that kind of thing. But we have people that serve communion in T-shirt and shorts. Really a pretty casual place. Unlike some of our other affirming friends in more liturgical sittings, there's not a ton of standing and sitting and kneeling because we're Baptist. We tend to do communion.
It looks like dancing.
Yeah, I know. You can't have that. We do communion once a month.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome to do communion here at this church. We have a visitor parking and come right in.
Well, I hope that some people maybe just so that everyone knows that there's another church here in town that would be. You don't have to lay that part of your theology, the things that you love, the people that you love. You don't have to lay that to the side to worship. And
yeah, absolutely. And you can find us at fbcpeoria.org. I probably should have said that. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well under that name. And you can come out and join us. We have people that have joined the church that are from the Catholic faith, that are Catholic and Baptist.
Okay.
We have members that are interfaith. We have people that are married to people that aren't Christians at all, that are have grown up and practice completely different religions. We have people that attend that are part of different religions. So if you're interested in being a part of that, we'd love to have you.
Thank you so much for letting me come here to your sanctuary. Sure. It's an honor to be able to interview you. And you are hilarious and funny. So
yeah. Well, thanks so much.
I do want to let my viewers know that this is going to be my last one of these. We have now interviewed all of the affirming and open churches here in Peoria. So next week, I'm excited. I have to talk about critical race theory because everyone's been talking about it. I think
that's going to be a blast.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be so much fun. I think everyone gets it wrong pretty much. The liberals that I know are using it in a way that they shouldn't be using it. The conservatives I know it's a knee-jerk reaction. So we'll talk about it. We'll figure out what it is. And join me back here next week, same time, same place. We'll see you later. Bye.